They said I was fortunate, but fortune doesn't maintain your wellness for 40 years. Habits do. At 92, I continue to drive. I continue to walk without discomfort. I haven't experienced even a sniffle in 4 decades. And while certain folks grin and remark, "You must possess fine genes," I subtly shake my head because what escapes their notice is what I perform every single day. The reality is, growing older doesn't abruptly rob your vitality. It erodes it gradually through the everyday decisions we cease pursuing. The omitted motion, the superficial inhalation, the instant we cease trusting that our bodies can yet enhance. But just as vigor diminishes via oversight, it can reemerge via steadfastness. That's the insight I've gained, not in a laboratory or from a manual, but from existing. Physicians once advised me to ease up. I opted to listen closely, and gradually I uncovered 5 basic movements that form the bedrock of my energy. Not strenuous sessions, but deliberate actions that revived power, concentration, equilibrium, and serenity. They demand no fitness center or vigor of youth, just dedication. And if you're prepared to offer your body the same subtle nurture that you once provided your offspring, these practices can transform everything. So, allow me to reveal the 5 movements that have sustained my robustness, acuity, and freedom from ailment, not merely in concept, but in the actuality of an existence richly embraced. Prior to jumping in, if you haven't subscribed as yet, I suggest you press that button and activate the bell so you never overlook another wellness insight crafted solely for you. If this video delights you, enter 1 in the comments. If otherwise, enter 0 to inform me how I can craft superior content for you. 1. The spine. The spine awakening ritual. A 3-minute morning reboot that inverts age from within outward. Most individuals assume sickness arises from microbes or heredity. But following 92 years of existence absent major sickness and not even a sniffle in 4 decades, I can assure you true wellness commences the instant you awaken. That's precisely why prior to my feet ever meeting the floor, I deliver to my body one vital signal. You're vital, and I require you. Each morning, I recline flat upon my back, eyes remaining shut, and initiate a brief progression that altered all. I gradually rotate my head leftward and rightward, not for elongation, but to softly rouse the nerves tracing my neck. I draw my knees nearer to my chest, tenderly embrace them, and sway side to side as if nurturing my own backbone. Then I let go and permit my back to nestle into the bedding, more centered, more alert. No haste, no abrupt gestures, just focus. This might appear basic, even insignificant, but this 3-minute practice reconfigures how your neural network reacts to the day. Most elders spring from slumber with rigid backs, rigid limbs, drowsy circulation. They propel themselves vertical via raw might, igniting abrupt surges in blood pressure and bewilderment. That's the reason numerous tumbles and apoplexies occur within the initial hour of arising. But when you rouse your spine with tenderness, you're granting your whole form time to recall how to thrive well. Observe, the spine exceeds merely a stack of bones. It serves as the primary thoroughfare for every nerve within your body. Should it lag, all else does. Your steadiness, your gut function, your cognition, it all flows from that morning instant. And as we advance in years, the more our spine yearns for cadence over brute force, mindfulness over haste. That's why I've performed this soft progression daily since age 52. It's beyond a routine, it's a rite. Research corroborates this as well. An investigation released in the Journal of Geriatric Physical Therapy revealed that elders engaging in morning spinal activation experience reduced tumbles, enhanced bearing, and superior cognitive sharpness across the day. But setting figures aside, what counts is the sensation it imparts. Lighter, freer, more attuned to your own form. I once arose rigid, anticipating the instant my feet met the ground with dread. Now I greet the day with serene awareness. This practice demands no power or suppleness. It demands purpose. And in a realm that propels us toward output, selecting awareness is the initial deed of restoration. The fact is, you cannot construct a robust form upon a frail base, and your spine constitutes the base of your every motion, your every inhalation, your every feeling of vitality. So, why not commence the day by revering it? Now, should you ponder what follows this hallowed 3-minute practice, what further I undertake to remain keen, sturdy, and ailment-free well into my 90s, permit me to unveil something yet more astonishing. It entails naught beyond a dining chair, and it could well avert your forthcoming stumble. Should you remain viewing and deeming these revelations beneficial, kindly remark number 1 beneath to indicate you're alongside me. Now, let's proceed to item number 2. 2. The magic chair routine. A everyday regimen that restored my power absent departing the kitchen. I formerly held that power derived from exertion, from perspiration, from straining fiercely. But past 60, a change occurred. My form ceased yielding to vehemence. It yielded to regularity. And nowhere did I discern this more vividly than via a basic item that most of us disregard. Kitchen chair. Observe. As I matured, I observed something that alarmed me. I was forfeiting my capacity to ascend, not solely from the ground, but from my very existence. Rising from a chair demanded labor. Extending toward a shelf provoked my shoulder to smart. My thighs, formerly firm and potent, commenced to quiver. It wasn't malady, it was attrition. Minute fragments of power drifting away, unperceived. Until one day I almost toppled attempting to grasp a pot. That instant served as an alarm call. Thus, I initiated a modest ceremony each morning. I would settle into my kitchen chair, anchor my feet solidly to the floor, and gradually elevate one leg at a time, sustaining it aloft for several seconds prior to descending it. Initially, even hoisting my leg mere inches seemed laborious, but I persisted. I wasn't aiming to prepare like a competitor. I was aiming to recapture the worth of locomotion. Following the legs, I advanced to the arms. I'd extend them directly ahead of me, gradually and with command, sensing the sinews revive from repose. 10 deliberate elevations. No burdens, no urgency, just inhalation, awareness, and motion. It spanned under 5 minutes, but in mere weeks I perceived shifts that no remedy had ever bestowed. I could depart from bed swifter. I ceased grasping walls for support. I could transport provisions once more. But beyond that, I sensed empowered. There exists something profoundly sacred about regaining trust in your own form anew. That chair evolved beyond a perch. It evolved into a proving ground for self-reliance. Physicians term this practical locomotion, the variety that echoes routine duties and maintains the neural network keen. Indeed, a probe published in the journals of gerontology demonstrated that elders executing consistent seated leg and arm elevations markedly bolster lower extremity power and diminish stumble hazard by over 30%. But I require no probe to affirm that. I embody it. The allure of this regimen lies in its accessibility. Whether you're mending from operation, contending with joint inflammation, or merely commencing to sense the burden of time, you needn't rise. You needn't elaborate apparatus. You need a chair, a touch of inhalation, and the readiness to commence. And here's the essence. Our forms don't crave chastisement. They crave prompts. Each elevation from that chair serves as a murmur to the sinews. You retain mission. Each deliberate elevation of the arms conveys as a cue to the mind. We persist in flux. We persist in vitality. Now, should you believe a kitchen chair might revive your power, await until you grasp what your own inhalation can achieve. It's the subsequent revelation I unearthed, and it's the mightiest remedy I've never needed to purchase. 3. The 4-7-8 breath. The 4-7-8 breath, a straightforward cadence that fortifies the defensive system and pacifies the inner turmoil. It required me decades to grasp that the inhalation, not remedies, not sinew, was the supreme restorer I possessed. Not distant in the past had an individual informed me that inhaling in a specific cadence could diminish my blood pressure, hone my concentration, and aid me in evading sickness wholly. I would have grinned courteously and dismissed it. But existence possesses a manner of grounding us. I was 68 upon first encountering indicators of profound weariness. Not exhaustion from labor or sleep deficit, but something weightier. A haze that cloaked my cognition. My assimilation decelerated. I grew testy. I wasn't ill, yet neither was I robust. My physician declared not amiss, my tests proved standard. But I sensed in my core something astray. That's when I encountered a inhalation method, a sequence termed 4-7-8. It appeared overly elementary. Inhale for 4 counts, retain for 7, exhale for 8. Precisely that. No additives, no expense, no labor. But I attempted it nonetheless. Perched calmly on the bed's brink, I shut my eyes. I drew in profoundly via my nostrils for 4 beats. I retained the inhalation softly for 7. Then leisurely I expelled for 8 counts via tightened lips like a release I'd withheld for years. And then I repeated it, again and again. Something extraordinary transpired. In moments, my pulse eased, my torso relaxed, my shoulders, perpetually somewhat rigid unbeknownst to me, descended. And most astonishingly, my cognitions hushed. For the initial occasion in weeks, I sensed tranquil, and that tranquility became my remedy. I integrated the 478 inhalation into my everyday regimen. 4 cycles come morning, 4 air night. I commenced slumbering superiorly. My assimilation enhanced. My defensive system, formerly adequate, grew nearly impenetrable. Even amid severe influenza periods or extended colds, I remained resilient. My form, I comprehended, wasn't merely enduring. It was mending from the interior outward. Research elucidates this plainly. The 478 inhalation engages the parasympathetic neural network, the segment tasked with repose, assimilation, and restoration. It conveys to your form, you stand secure now. And when your form perceives security, it transitions from warding to expansion. It diminishes cortisol. It equilibrates secretions. It amplifies oxygen to essential organs. It grows resilient, not impulsive. But this transcends mere physiology. For me, the inhalation formed a conduit between my cognitions and my wellness, between the strain of maturing and the elegance of awareness. Every expulsion resembled releasing dread. Every drawing in served as a subdued confirmation. I'm yet present, and I'm yet robust. Inhalation isn't solely reflexive. It's deliberate. It's among the scarce actions we perform that can alter the full cadence of the form via naught but mindfulness. I never envisioned restoration could prove this subdued, this tender, and this proximate. And should you deem your inhalation can alter your wellness so profoundly, envision what a straightforward daily stroll can achieve, not solely for your form, but for your whole perception of mission. That, dear companion, is our subsequent destination. Should you persist in viewing and deeming these revelations precious, kindly remark number 1 beneath to affirm your presence. Now, let's advance with item number 4, walking as medicine. 4. Walking as medicine. The 15-minute ceremony that revived my power, my essence, and my perception of time. There existed a period years prior when I deemed walking merely a method to attain somewhere. It wasn't locomotion. It lacked import. It was an action I undertook to shift between locales. But then I reached 65 and matters commenced to shift. I began sensing burdened, not solely in the form but in the spirit. My limbs smarted more frequently. My cognitions appeared more knotted. And the days, though extended, commenced to sense constricted, like I was contracting into the hours rather than unfurling through them. That's when I reverted to something so elementary it nearly seemed absurd. I commenced strolling, but not in a facility, not with earpieces. I strolled outdoors solitary with naught but the cadence of my feet, the tempo of my inhalation, and the awareness of the surroundings. Initially, it spanned just 5 minutes, one circuit, around the neighborhood. My joints groaned, my back opposed, but I persisted. Day upon day, 5 minutes evolved into 10. 10 evolved into 15. I wasn't strolling to consume energy. I wasn't pursuing juvenescence. I was recapturing something I'd forfeited unwittingly. My perception of linkage to my own form, my station in the realm, and my entitlement to traverse it with poise. Across time, I observed something prodigious. My bearing enhanced. I no longer shuffled, I strode. My assimilation commenced functioning superiorly. My cognition grew clearer. The concerns that formerly resembled phantoms trailing me began to dissipate in the dawn light of those morning strolls. I was no longer merely maturing. I was rousing. Folks undervalue strolling. They assume if it lacks fervor, it lacks efficacy. But I've discerned that for elders, the supreme variety of locomotion is the sort that reveres the form rather than depleting it. When you stroll with mindfulness, sensing your inhalation, flow in and out, permitting your arms to sway softly at your flanks, positioning each foot with regard, You're not merely shifting sinews, you're recalibrating your neural network. You're dispersing lymph. You're dispatching oxygen to your cognition. You're conveying to your full essence, I'm present and I'm not concluded yet. Research has at last aligned with what seniors have recognized for ages. A probe from the British Journal of Sports Medicine revealed that merely 20 minutes of strolling daily can markedly diminish inflammatory indicators in mature adults. Another from Stanford indicated that strolling outdoors elevates inventive cognition and mental acuity far beyond remaining stationary indoors. But surpassing all the inquiry, I comprehend this much. Post-stroll, I sense like my true self anew. Sleet or sun, I never omit it. Not owing to rigidity, but because I've witnessed what transpires when I do. I grow lethargic. My cognition sense dense. Vigor wanes. But following my stroll, I sense revitalized, like I've twisted a latch in some concealed facet of myself, and I invariably grin as I proceed. Not because I'm beforehand joyful, but because grinning amid strolling renders me joyful. That solitary deed alone aids in diminishing blood pressure and calming the vagus nerve, the tacit director of so much of our wellness. Thus, if you've sensed immobilized corporally, sentimentally, or cerebrally, don't await ideal circumstances. Don't await vigor to manifest. Swing open the portal, advance 1 foot, and permit your form to recall that it was crafted to shift. And once it does, you'll require to nourish it appropriately, because what you place upon your dish the instant you return from that stroll may prove the paramount decision you render all. The hand-opening ritual day. 5. The hand-opening ritual. Modest, muted motions that sustain you autonomous and vital. There's an instant in maturing that none readies you for. Not when your joints smart, not when your audition wanes, but when your hands cease complying. You extend for a vessel and your clasp falters. You inscribe a draft and your quill quivers. You attempt to fasten a garment and abruptly something as elementary as a tie ring becomes a duty. That instant is subdued, but it bears a weighty verity. Our hands, formerly implements of might and accuracy, are frequently the initial to murmur, "You're decelerating down." I recall when I first perceived it. I was 74. I had let fall my keys thrice in a week, once nearly barring myself from the dwelling. I dismissed it initially. Awkward today, I informed myself. But profoundly, I knew otherwise. It concerned not dexterity, it concerned linkage. My hands and my cognition weren't aligned as formerly. Thus, I commenced something so modest, so elementary that most would chuckle upon witnessing it. Each morning, prior to even grasping a utensil or a brusher, extend my hands as broadly as possible, elongating each digit like beams of radiance. Then, I contract them leisurely into a complete, potent clasp. I sustain it for 5 counts, then liberate 10 occasions. That's precisely it. No burdens, no implements, just mindfulness and purpose. Initially, it sensed nearly ludicrous. Could such a minuscule motion genuinely affect change? But by the second week, I could sense a warmth re-entering my digits, a circulation of blood absent prior to that. My band ceased sensing constrictive. My hands didn't seize amid gripping. I could transport provisions sans dread of shedding a sack. But surpassing that, I commenced to sense empowered anew. Our hands transcend appendages. They constitute prolongations of our self-rule. They sustain us, cleanse us, shield us. They clasp the hands of kin. They fashion, convey, and unite. And when they commence to wane, it's not solely about utility. It's about essence. That's why I never disregard them anew. There's inquiry to validate this too. A probe released in the Journal of Aging and Physical Activity revealed that hand fortification motion markedly diminished joint inflammation ache, enhanced clasp firmness, and even bolstered neural interplay in mature adults. Indeed, clasp power has now emerged as a potent foreteller of endurance and full energy. But even sans the figures, I can assure you my hands serve as my anchors, and sustaining them robust constitutes a hallowed daily ceremony. It demands little, just awareness. Just 5 minutes of your dawn to prompt your digits that they yet count. It's a subdued variety of power, this motion. Simple to overlook, yet crucial for self-rule. And in those muted, recurrent gestures, there resides a form of piety, a regard for the form, a resolve not to permit time pilfer your command. I persist in it daily, not owing to dread of forfeiting reign, but because I elect to retain it. Because power doesn't invariably bellow. At times it murmurs, "You yet possess time." And should you have accompanied me thus far through the inhalation, the stroll, the chair, the spine, and now the hands, then you might be musing what could possibly remain. What's the solitary deed I perform at dusk post all these practices that permits my form to mend, refresh, and perchance even invert the maturing dial while I slumber? That enigma, dear companion, is what I'll disclose next. The quiet power of small things. Conclusion. The quiet power of small things. Reflecting across more than 9 decades of existence, I've arrived at grasping something I wish an individual had conveyed to me in my youth. Maturing isn't the cessation of wellness, it's the onset of a distinct variety of power. A power that depends not on juvenescence or velocity, but on regularity, mindfulness, and tenderness toward your own form. These 5 motions I've imparted to you, the spinal rousing, the magic, chair regimen, the 4-7-8 inhalation, the restorative stroll, and the dawn cognitive attunement aren't ostentatious. They won't garner notoriety or secure honors, but they've bestowed upon me something far surpassing acclaim: self-rule, serenity of cognition, and a form I can yet depend upon. Here's the verity most folks resist conceding. Wellness beyond 60 derives not from executing more. It derives from executing less, yet executing it with purpose. You needn't prepare like a competitor or consume like an ascetic. What signifies utmost is what you execute every solitary day, even if it's merely for a few minutes. Wellness isn't erected in a surge. It's revived in subdued recurrence. Should you be perusing this and pondering if it's belated, permit me softly to recall you. Should you yet inhale, it's not belated, not remotely. Every inhalation constitutes a commencement. Every dawn serves as an entreaty. I didn't initiate these practices in my youth. I initiated most in my 60s when matters already smarted and decelerated. But that's when it signifies utmost, and indeed, there shall be days when you lack the inclination, days when the form opposes and the cognition strays. That's acceptable. Execute it nonetheless. Because the true prize isn't solely corporeal. It's sentimental, even ethereal. When you nurture your form, you're dispatching it a signal it has yearned to receive. You remain valuable. I haven't relinquished you. That variety of signal alters matters. It renders you stand taller, inhale deeper, shift with poise. It renders you less fearful of the years forthcoming, because you're no longer merely maturing, you're thriving. Thus, here's my counsel. From one extended existence to another, don't await inspiration. Don't await the flawless scheme or the apt apparatus. Just commence today. Rotate your ankles prior to departing slumber. Perch erect in your chair and elevate your limbs with intent. Inhale with cadence. Stroll with awareness. Envision the variety of day and the variety of self you desire to cultivate into. And recall, every solitary deed of nurture you bestow your form constitutes a deed of resistance against decay. You are not a sufferer of time. You are the guardian of your own energy. Thus take the forthcoming stride. Commence anew tomorrow. And comprehend this, you're not merely appending years to your existence, you're appending existence to your years. These insights aim to rouse you to thrive wholly and genuinely. Now, I'd relish hearing from you. Spare a moment to contemplate and impart one insight you've absorbed and intend to implement in your own existence. Let's bolster one another on this path toward embracing these verities. Should you have relished this video, kindly leave a remark with W1. If otherwise, feel welcome to remark with Thaw0. Your input signifies greatly to us. Don't omit to endorse, disseminate, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for further content akin to this. Gratitude for viewing, and here's to thriving existence on your own conditions.